Hey all, your OS reviews. In this video, we're taking a quick look at the EarFun Air Pro 4s. These are flagship grade TWS true wireless buds, which are stacked with all of the audio codecs underneath the sun. For example, there's both LDAC in addition to aptX Lossless to provide as much detail as possible using a wireless transmission, hence getting the high-res audio wireless certification. In addition, there's also aptX Adaptive and Snapdragon Sound, as well as Google Fast Pair. In particular, the adaptive codec tries to reduce latency depending on the type of content that you're playing. It will switch between different profiles automatically. For example, if you're listening to music, it will try to push as much detail as possible, but also that will use a little bit more bandwidth compared to if you are gaming or watching back a video. It should be intelligent enough to switch into a lower latency mode. And then Google Fast Pair just means if you have a compatible newer Android phone and you just open up the buds, it will also be paired to your Google account, allowing you to locate it on Google Maps, as well as more easily bind it to other devices signed into your Google account. And there's even one codec here that I never heard of before, which is called Auracast. So doing a little bit of research, this is apparently some type of codec which allows you to share the audio with other people around you. For example, if there's a TV at a gym, folks that are nearby are able to all connect to the same audio source and kind of daisy chain into the audio experience. So it touts the ability to transmit and broadcast to an unlimited number of nearby receivers. And because it is using a Qualcomm chip inside, that's why it also has that Snapdragon Sound certification. They also have adaptive active noise cancellation, plus can be charged wirelessly on a Qi charging mat, in addition to having wearing detection so the music can automatically play and pause if you're removing them. The caveat here, though, is some of these codecs, including aptX in addition to LDAC, are still designed to mostly function with Android devices, including Galaxy phones, Nothing devices, OnePlus phones, Google Pixel. However, iPhones unfortunately do not support LDAC nor aptX. So despite the huge amount of stickers and labels here, if you are an iPhone or a macOS user, you can probably go with an even more affordable model, to be honest, or go with just regular AirPods because they are officially designed for the Apple ecosystem. Has 6 microphones for background noise reduction when you're making calls as well, in addition to having pretty good 52-hour battery life with the charging case combined. They can play back continuously for around 11 hours, although with ANC turned on, it's closer to around 9 hours or so, making them suitable for road warriors as well with fast charging support. So 10 minutes in the case will get upwards of 2 hours of additional listening time. And as expected, there's even multi-point connection here, so you can pair with both a phone and a computer at the same time and automatically switch back and forth depending on what device is playing back audio. So again, very impressive specs that are packed into a pair of buds, and these are trying to compete with models from Anker Soundcore, not to mention some of the more premium models out there, again from brands like Sennheiser or JBL. Here's also a quick comparison chart with some of the Sonys, the Liberty 4 NCs, and Sennheiser Momentum 4s, which are all going to be more expensive than the Air Pro 4s, but as you can tell here by comparison, almost none of these other flagship buds have as many audio codecs as what EarFun have packed inside of these. And these buds are also IPX5 rated against sweat and rain, so they will survive if it gets splashed. And here's also a quick comparison chart of the various codecs that makes it a little bit more clear. So SBC and AAC are kind of the standards built into any Bluetooth 5.0 to 5.4 device, compared to aptX, which will transmit a little bit more detail, versus LDAC, which is getting into the high-res territory for Bluetooth headphones at least, and then aptX Lossless claims to be able to transmit even more detail. One thing I will say though is although the Bluetooth chip inside is cutting edge, and again supporting all of these various transmission protocols, at the end of the day, headphones are only as good as their weakest link. So all the components have to be of a equal quality for it to be truly outstanding. I point that out because the speakers on these are a single 10mm driver, and that is larger than the average 6 or 7mm, which should provide a little bit more bass response. But there are technically other hi-fi grade headphones that have multi-driver solutions. They have maybe 2 or 3 stacked on top of one another that can squeeze out even more detail. So technically the speaker, aka the drivers inside these, are an aspect which are good on these, but not absolutely top of the line like the audio chip. So whether that will translate to good audio or not, we'll have to find out more more later in this video. And on the inside, we have access to the headphones themselves. We also get 5 different sets of silicone tips to get a more snug fit, in addition to a Type-C charging cable if you prefer this to wireless charging, and the usual array of quick user guides. They claim that this thing has also already won a couple of awards. A closer look at the design of the case. It is constructed out of a polycarbonate plastic. The size is also not bad. Here they are next to some Zimi PeerPods, which are also almost identical to Apple AirPod Pros when it comes to size. Easy enough to slide into a pocket and take it with you when on the road. Now on the back here, we have the Type-C port for charging, wireless charging contacts, and also 3 LEDs to tell you the status. It will automatically wake up when you open up the casing here to start pairing with your device, as well as the reset key. There's also some interesting LED lights inside of the casing that gives it a more dramatic appearance when you're opening them at night, just showing a little bit more attention to detail with that backlighting. Almost reminds me of the aforementioned Soundcore Liberty 4 series. They're held into place magnetically, and otherwise the design of the stems are quite clean with just a simple capacitive touch sensor for things like play, pause, volume, as well as skip tracks that you can also remap and customize in the companion app, available both for iOS and Android. As far as the mesh here for the speaker is concerned, it is made out of metal instead of just fabric, making it a little easier to clean. That said, the rest of the body is constructed out of a glossy plastic material, and there's a slight stem to it, reminiscent of the AirPod Pros, but still fairly comfortable and lightweight. And overall, as far as ergonomics are concerned, I tried wearing them continuously for around 4 or 5 hours and didn't feel too much stress or strain. Even as I was walking around, they still stayed in place, looking relatively clean. And taking a quick look at the companion app, it pairs very quickly once Bluetooth is turned on, and from here you're able to check if there's any firmware updates, potentially improving on the stability. I've already received 1 update since unboxing them, and otherwise we can check out the battery percentage remaining on the buds as well as the case. The buds can also be renamed for easier locating if you have multiple sets, and from here you can turn on and off different functions, including the audio transparency mode that will use the microphones to amplify the noise around you, helping you become aware of your surroundings without popping them out, or go into the active noise canceling mode. For example, strong active noise cancellation if you're in a really loud environment, and because there is a wearing detection, they will automatically turn off ANC to preserve power when you pop them out of your ears. You can also go into a balance mode if you are in kind of a more softer zone that will be more comfortable. It's not quite as strong in terms of the intensity, as well as a adaptive mode that will more intelligently switch back and forth between high versus low based on how loud your surroundings are. And last but not least, there's also a high wind noise reduction mode depending on your environment. You can flick on and off the gaming mode for ultra low latency, as well as turn on and off that auto wearing detection, and then go into some of the equalizer options. So as flagship grade buds, it's not surprising that they have also built in a hearing test customized EQ mode, which is under the My Sound profile. If you tap on here, it takes around 1 to 2 minutes to finish, and it will play back a series of sounds, and you're able to adjust the slider based on if you're able to hear that sound or not. So it will compensate for some of your blind zones in hearing by cranking up the neighboring frequencies. It actually does work pretty well. So similar to what we've seen on Soundcore Anchor products, on their more expensive flagship devices that is, you have that feature here as well, in addition to some preset equalizers. In fact, this is the largest selection of equalizers that I've ever seen by default from a manufacturer. You have all these types, including genres like Latin music, hits, soul, blues, metal, dance, hip-hop, classical, R&B, pop, rock, including vocals, enhancement, as well as bass boost 1, 2, 3 that will get progressively more bass heavy, as well as treble boost 1, 2, 3 for higher notes, bass reduce 1, 2, 3. So for all of these, you have slightly varying levels of intensity. It's a huge amount of attention to detail. And last but not least, there is a custom equalizer option that provides you with a frequency slider if you want to go into more granular detail yourself and you're more of an expert here compared to the kind of AI hearing test as well as the defaults. And overall, they do make a subtle difference depending on, again, the genre that you're listening to, although even by default, I found them to be already quite well balanced with sufficient bass for it to sound energetic, but not too overpowering either. However, again, using some of those tunings, you can just personalize it even more. Now, underneath here, we can also even disable touch controls if you are always grabbing onto the buds and you want to prevent any accidental triggers, or go into the customization for a single tap, double tap, triple, pull and long press, so pretty good here again in terms of customization. You can also disable certain taps or gestures if you aren't really using them. We can also set up the dual device connection, so again, offering a second device that you can pair with simultaneously, in addition to go into a manual audio quality adjustment function. So by default, it's going to use aptX Adaptive, and aptX Lossless. However, you can also switch on LDAC. aptX is usually more than good enough, especially with aptX Lossless and Adaptive, that it's able to intelligently switch back and forth. Now we can also go into the microphone setting here and have it pick up sound even from only one side, as well as the voice prompts, things like if it is speaking to you and saying the ANC is turned on versus turned off, you can actually turn those voice prompts on or off. The volume of the voice prompts can be lowered or increased, and even the language of those prompts can be changed. Furthermore, for LE audio, this is where you're able to access Google Fast Pair if you again have a newer generation Android device, and also go into the Auracast settings. And last but not least, find headphones, which will play a sound on the left or the right if you've forgotten them or if they've dropped underneath a sofa. And with Google Fast Pair, you will use your phone's connected GPS to kind of approximate the last known location on Google Maps as well if you bind it to your Google account. So these are just packed to the brim with software features and tiny details. All of them are compiled into this one pair of buds, basically. And down below here on the main home screen, you can even go into Discover, and the application has a few built-in white noise sounds, so helping you relax or fall asleep. However, these aren't really designed for tossing and turning in bed, since they're not quite as thin as some of the sleep-dedicated headphones we've seen, which is yet another newer category. However, if you're just resting, maybe sitting upright for meditation or a quick nap, it might be okay. But again, proves that they have really spared no expense here from a feature perspective, tucking everything all at once into both the app as well as these buds. Now moving into the sound quality, I'm happy to report that it mostly holds up. So first of all, when it comes to connectivity, I felt they were quite strong. I never really got disconnected from my phone, even as I was walking around a room around 10 meters away from the device. And as alluded to earlier, the profile is dynamic and kind of sucks you into the music quite quickly, helping you better appreciate studio albums with all of its intricacies and details that sometimes can get omitted in less expensive headphones. Really, whether it's pop, rock, or R&B, acoustic tracks, it all shines and just has plenty of detail that you can delineate and appreciate when wearing these. With that being said, we come back to the point of the drivers, as well as some of those audio codecs. For the casual consumer, if you're not really sitting down and closely comparing it, the difference may not be night and day versus other $100 headphones, especially ones from this brand that we've seen in the past. So I would say that some of those labels, although yes, technically very impressive, still have to consider that at a certain point it might be diminishing returns for the average user. That being said, the sound is very stable and overall high quality. And again, the built-in drivers inside here I think are doing a very good job. They're tuned well for what they are, but that is the aspect where, again, if you are really trying to pair them against even more expensive headphones that have maybe a dual driver, can potentially provide even higher volume output in addition to even more delineated, nuanced trebles. But ultimately, I think these are already sounding very good, very strong for the sub $100 price range. That is particularly impressive considering that they are less expensive than the Apple AirPods, but at the same time, I do find them to pack more impressive audio, combined with good ergonomics when it comes to lightweight, being comfortable to wear. So overall, I would say these are an excellent pair of true wireless buds, which from a technical perspective provides plenty of firsts, and even if having so many labels all in one might still be leaning heavier towards kind of a marketing play rather than being something you can really clearly delineate between, say, using the LDAC mode versus using just aptX Lossless. So again, a little bit of redundancy there, but at the very least, I think they have tried quite hard here and again, fit together into a pretty compelling and cohesive package. So there we have it. That's been the EarFun Air 4 Pros. If you are in the market for a new pair of wireless buds, I would say this is certainly one of the better options on the market currently here in 2024 that doesn't really break the bank. That is, if you are an Android user. If you are iOS, you may not be able to, again, take advantage of everything, though the sound will still be fairly solid for what it is. So you can check out more details if interested in the links down below, but for now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.